Welcome to this edition of the Heartland Crime Stopper Show. I'm your host, Chip Brown. Today we're at the Polk County Sheriff's Office Special Operations Section. We're talking to some of the deputies and detectives that work here and looking at some of the equipment that they can utilize here in Polk County. We're here with Deputy Sheriff Greg Love, who is a pilot for the Sheriff's Office. And Greg, so glad to have you here today.
Glad to be here.
Tell us a little bit about yourself. I know you've got some prior military, you've been flying here for the Sheriff for about 21 years, so tell us about yourself.
Yes, sir. I was an Army pilot and spent 36 total years flying, 20 of that with the military and 21 with the Sheriff's Office.
Now, you've been the chief pilot now for what, 15 years, I believe?
15 years, and Rob Gray's now currently the chief pilot, so he has all the tough responsibilities.
Well, good deal. Well, tell us a little bit about some of the equipment about the bird here. Tell us what's on here.
This is a MD 500E model. In the military, it was 086, and I flew one of these on active duty, but this we just purchased in 2013, and it's quite the aircraft. It's we have some equipment on here that assists us. Number one, we have the SX5 searchlight. Right here, it's 15 million candle power. We also have our FLIR, forward-looking infrared. Our searchlight, which assists us, we usually fly around 700 feet to 1,200 feet at night, and it will light up the same as like a football field. That's how powerful it is. It's an amazing piece of equipment. Our FLIR, forward-looking infrared, it sees, it takes the light that's out there, or the heat, and enhances it. And so, in other words, if you are out there and your body's a different temperature than the trees, the leaves, the ground, and it sees temperature. So if the bad guy's out there and he's hiding behind a palmetto bush or whatever, obviously he stands out because he's a different temperature. So at night, that's a real asset. And we also use on our helmet our night vision goggles. And the goggles uses light, and it takes the light that's out there and enhances it 10,000 times over. So at night, it's amazing what we can do. As far as the goggles, we see as well as 20/25. Of course, being blind is 20/20, and perfect vision is 20/20. So we see 20/25 at night with our goggles. So it really assists us, especially if we had an event of emergency or so forth.
Yeah, now there's a lot of different uses. A lot of people think maybe you just use this for observation or for area searches, but golly, it makes the work of the deputies so much safer, especially in pursuits if you're up in the air, searching for suspects, searching for lost kids.
Absolutely, we're the eyes of the sky. Obviously, you can't see through a building, but when we get up in the air, we can see completely around it. So we give the deputies a lot of security and safety by being their eyes in the sky and saying, "Hey, look, the guy's in a tree, or he's on the back side of this building," or what have you. Especially at night when we can see them with their actual temperature. We usually work close with K9. We can tell K9, "Hey, he's 150 foot in front of you. He's to your right." So we actually guide these guys in. But yeah, the helicopter, we do the same calls as actually patrol. We're out there doing pretty much everything from bank robberies, pursuits. Some of our most responsible calls that we take would be for a lost child or Alzheimer's or officer shooting, and that's where we really get up and get going. But everything's important to us. We respond basically to any of the calls that the average deputy has that they call us for. We respond.
Now, you've got, how many pilots do you have here with the Sheriff's Office?
We have 8 pilots. Of course, we're just like patrol. It takes 2 pilots at night. We have a pilot operating the aircraft and 1 operating the camera. Day shift is 1 pilot, so that's one shift would be 6, and the other 6, and then we have the supervisor, and then we have a pilot trainee. I'll be retiring shortly, so it takes about 4 years just to get a pilot in here and up to speed. It's quite the deal.
Yeah, I know it's a big learning curve because there's so much more equipment that
Yes.
people just aren't used to. There's sometimes you used to drive in a car and work in the radio, but flying one of these and working the radio and the floor and everything else.
It is. It's just like a brand new deputy. I mean, they come to work, but it takes a while to get that experience so that he is, when he's going down the road, that he's actually an asset, that he's actually performing and alert to doing the responsibility. So you can imagine being in the helicopter, doing all that plus operating the machine. So it's quite the task.
Now you have two of these birds, but you also have several other aircraft here.
Yes, sir. We have 2 of the 500E models, and we also have an OH-58, which was from the military, and that's how we got started. It's in the hangar, but the OH-58 is a Bell 206, and actually flew it on active duty. We also have a fixed wing, a Cessna 182, and we do a lot of surveillance with that. That's our majority of the use with the fixed wing. We'll get up several thousand feet and watch the bad guy for, could be an hour, it might be 6 hours, it might be a month, just working on a certain case. But we get up in the air and do that.
Now, I know that back in the early days, the aircraft that you had was a fixed wing Cessna with just the fabric body.
Right. Yes,
and used it for a number of years, and it has really evolved and really improved. But it's taken a lot of time, a lot of work.
It has. Our aviation unit, like I said, I started 21 years ago. We had basically 2 ROPs in the aircraft. We flew just days, and then we introduced the military got rid of their OH-58s, which we accrued for just the cost of the paperwork, which were $500 a piece. Put those into use. Then we got into the night vision goggles and then the cameras. So we've become a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week operation at night, where we used to be just a daytime operation. So we're there for our patrol 24/7, and this aviation unit runs 24/7. It's very important that when they get on the phone and they call us, that we're there for them. So about the only time that we wouldn't be is in case of bad weather.
Now, all this equipment, besides being very expensive, is a lot of maintenance, a lot of upkeep on it, but you just can't put a price on the safety that it gives for the community and for the deputies and the officers on the street.
Absolutely, and that's probably one of the toughest things our hurdle is, but it actually takes 3 helicopters to run 24/7. And why I say that is it is a high maintenance piece of equipment. You have one that's actually ready to go at all times, that's actually working the mission when the phone call. Then you have one backup if you have an emergency procedure or a chip light or something. You sit down, you can get in the other aircraft and go. And then you have one that's actually having maintenance performed. So it's a 3-ring circus here just to keep one aircraft always going and efficient and ready to go for you. As far as that goes, the other hurdle is the expense. Obviously, it's expense, but what kind of price would you put on that on a person's life? And we could just go over and over how many people we've saved and backed up and helped this community out.
Yeah, especially like I say, when you have that Alzheimer's patient that has left maybe in the middle of the night or snuck out and trying to find them, and at night with the floor, I mean, the deputies, they can't see them. They have these flashlights, but having the floor and the ability to see from above, and with the candle power you have in your searchlights, it's you just can't put a value.
It's really remarkable. Like I said, the 3 probably most important calls would be one is the Alzheimer's patient wandering away, a child, or an officer shooting. The Alzheimer's patient, for whatever reason, the first place I always ask our guys when we get up, you need to find some water. We're born in water. I don't know what there is in our body that causes us to attract and go to water. For whatever reason, that's the first thing I do is I ask, hey, is there any water around there? If there is, you need to check that. Second thing, they want to take their clothes off. They just like when you're a kid, they don't want their clothes on. So you gotta get out there and you gotta be in a hurry. You can't play with Alzheimer's because the elements, all that stuff that are at risk at night, the guys can't see. All they have is a flashlight, so we can see that heat. That's what's very important, and that's how we usually find them. So.
Well, all those years of flying in the military, and also here with 21 years as a pilot, you've learned a few of the things to kind of look for, and that's the stuff that you just can't teach. It's just that the value of having an experienced pilot.
Yeah, it's been quite the experience for me. I enjoy doing it each and every day, helping our law enforcement, helping our community. That's what it's all about, and we try to give everything we can back to the community. So that's what it's all about.
And these are always a popular thing to take to shows and for schools. The kids love to see the bird come in and take off. And
very important. It is for the kids because they their future, what they want to be. Some of them want to be a pilot down the road, or actually they see that and first thing they see, and then they want to be a law enforcement officer or a fireman. Very important to educate our children, to educate our public on how our money is spent, what we actually do, how important it is for us out there that when we have an Alzheimer's patient or a lost child. Could you imagine having your own child lost, or a parent wandering away from a house, or you have a son that's a law enforcement and an officer shooting, bank robberies, all these things. So, very important piece of equipment, and it's important that we educate our public how we use it and how we use it effectively.
Absolutely. Well, Deputy Love, thank you so much for your service and your dedication to law enforcement and to the aviation unit. We certainly appreciate all the work you do.
Well, thank you.
We're here now with Detective Jay Scarborough, who is with the Polk County Sheriff's Office, has 15 years experience, and right now we're sitting on top of the swamp buggy. So Jay, thanks for letting us come out today and tell us a little bit about this swamp buggy here.
Okay, it's a piece of equipment we've had now for approximately 2.5 years. It's a custom built machine. It runs on a Chevy 350 motor. It has large tractor tires on it, and we use it for a variety of different things as far as searching for people, evidence sometimes. We've used it for search for missing people, for people who have been lost for a long time. Unfortunately, we use it for recovery services, and we've also used it several times for looking for suspects who have ran into heavily wooded areas where it's very hard to get around, where it be palmettos that are really tall, swampy areas. The machine's pretty much unstoppable as long as it doesn't get hung up or caught on something. It pretty much can go through anything you point it at.
What is the clearance on this unit?
Overall, the total clearance for the deck is about 8 feet. The tires and the chassis, you pretty much 4 to 6 feet.
That gets you in a lot of areas that even if the helicopter can spot somebody still has to go in and get them out, whether it's a suspect or a missing person.
Correct.
And this really is the ultimate tool to get to those really hard to reach locations.
Very correct. It gets you anywhere you want to go.
Now, I know that we had talked earlier, I know there was a case that it was a plane crash and a family of 4 had lost their lives, and it was in southeast Polk County, and this was instrumental in getting to that site, was it not?
Yes. This swamp buggy and a swamp buggy used by Game and Fish were very instrumental in being able to get to where unfortunately a young man had lost his life, and we were able to get in there and be able to recover him and put a closure for the family.
You know, that's so important, and also the fact that the height of the deck here makes it so much better to be able to see.
Yeah, you have a very good field of vision, and your visibility is really well while you're sitting up this high.
Yeah, luckily with most of Polk County being somewhat flat, if you're out there on foot, you just can't see through some of that underbrush.
That's correct. It's over your head. It's hard to see.
Exactly. And plus just the safety, because there are a number of natural hazards in the area, snakes, and that you don't want to run up against unexpectedly.
That's correct.
Now, Detective Scarborough, I understand you are originally from Hardy County, grew up down there.
That's correct. I grew up down there on a cattle ranch, and my family was in cattle. My dad worked in the real estate business as well, and so worked with a lot of the citrus people down there, and instrumental in giving me an opportunity to come out to this unit with having the experience of working in both sides of the agricultural field.
And besides being a regular deputy with full law enforcement powers, this is a transfer. This is something you have to put in for to actually work for the sheriff's department, and having that background of cattle and agriculture certainly is an advantage.
That is very true. The stuff we investigate out here a lot of times could be a cattle theft or some kind of theft or trespassing, other things that happen in the cattle industry or in the citrus industry. And having some experience is a good part in trying to solve these crimes.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that people don't realize still occur. Cattle rustling is still a business.
It is a business. You're correct. Fortunately, we've been very fortunate in Polk County. We have one occasionally, but there are other parts of the state where they do have a lot of problems with it.
Yeah, you wouldn't think about it, but as I understand, that people have actually even taken some of the calves and put them in trunk of cars to steal them. So
that's true.
It's an amazing thing. You don't think about that in today's world, that cattle rustling is still one of the old-fashioned crimes that people still commit just like the rest of them.
Yes, it is. And it's like anything else in our industry. When the price of something goes up, then the theft of that item goes up. If it's copper wire or batteries from pump sheds in the citrus industry, or cattle from the cattle industry, depending on what the price of it is selling at auction or at a scrapyard, depends on a lot of times on how much theft we're having of it.
And there again, having that experience and having a deputy specialized in agricultural, if you get a road deputy that doesn't have a lot of experience, in groves or agriculture, they may not do as good a job as someone who specializes in that and knows where to look and what to look for.
Yeah, they help us a lot. A lot of times they'll go out and take an initial report for us, and then we follow up on it. So that sometimes being on the road doesn't give you the opportunity to take the case to the next level, but for the most part, they do help us when we need them to. But as far as doing the total investigation, having the experience out here definitely helps.
I know that as Crime Stoppers, we've been able to send you some tips on a few things you followed up and have been able to make some cases, whether it's...
That is true. Crime Stoppers has helped me with several cases, with some armed trespassing, with some theft cases. We've been able to get those pictures of suspects out to the community, and we've gotten tips back in, and we've made several arrests based on Crime Stoppers helping us out. It's really been a help for us.
Well, we're certainly glad to do that. And Jay, thank you for your time and experience, and we'll look forward to looking at some more of the stuff here we have at Special Operations at the Polk County Sheriff's Office. We're going to take a look now at some of our most recent unsolved cases and wanted criminals. Remember, if you have any information on any unsolved crime or any wanted persons, please call Heartland Crime Stoppers at 1-800-226-8477. That's 1-800-226-8477. You will remain completely anonymous, and we offer cash rewards of up to $3,000 if your tip results in an arrest, the recovery of stolen property, or the recovery of illegal drugs.
On September 25, 2016, at approximately 7:40 a.m., the individual in the picture entered the yard of a residence along Sears Avenue, northeast in Winter Haven. The suspect proceeded to help himself with lawn equipment that was in a covered area. He's a black male with dreadlocks, wearing a gray sweatshirt, red patches on the shoulders, gray shorts, and dark-colored slides. On September 23, 2016, at approximately 11:20 in the evening, an armed robbery occurred at the Zaxby's restaurant located at 35696 Highway 27 in Haines City. As employees were exiting the restaurant, two unknown suspects approached them from the rear of the parking lot with guns drawn. The suspects told the victims to open the door to the restaurant and for the manager to open the safe. An undisclosed amount of money was taken from the safe. After the money was taken from the safe, the suspects took the victims' cell phones and destroyed them when they fled the scene. At approximately 4:15 p.m. on Saturday, September 24, 2016, a victim was traveling on Cedar Hammock Street just north of Allison Avenue in Lake Wales. While driving, the victim observed a suspect walk out into the roadway holding a firearm. The victim came to a stop, and upon stopping, the suspect began yelling at the victim to give him the money while pointing a firearm at the victim's head. The suspect pulled the victim from the vehicle and searched the victim's vehicle. Sometime during the incident, the suspect struck the victim with his hand, causing minor injury to the victim. The suspect took the victim's property and fled on foot eastbound down a dirt trail. The victim was not seriously injured during the incident. The suspect was described as a white male, approximately 5'6", thin to medium build, wearing a camo jacket, black or blue jean pants, a dark-colored hat, black sunglasses, and a red bandana covering his nose and mouth. Two men broke into the S&D Real Estate Services office on East Edgewood Drive in Lakeland. They stole about $5,000 in computer and electronic equipment and $1,000 worth of Ducks Unlimited products meant for a charity. Lakeland police need your help in identifying this suspect of a forgery fraud that occurred within the city limits of Lakeland. Take a look at this individual. The suspect utilized a fraudulent credit card that had been opened after the victim stated noticing unusual activity on his account. Now, the victim did not lose the card, nor was there a burglary. It appears that an account was opened in the victim's name and the card was obtained. These charges began back in April. additional unusual occurrences have happened to the victim's personal information. At this time, it is unknown how the victim's information was obtained. If you have any information on any of the cases you've just seen or any information on an unsolved crime, please contact Heartland Crime Stoppers and leave an anonymous tip. The toll-free tip line is 1-800-226-TIPS. That's 8477. You can also leave an anonymous web tip by going to www.heartlandcrimestoppers.com and click on the Give a Tip tab, or by going to www.p3tips.com. Don't forget, you can download our free P3 Tips app on your smart device. Whichever way you choose to leave a tip, you will remain 100% anonymous. If your tip results in an arrest, the recovery of stolen property, or the recovery of illegal drugs, you could be eligible for a cash reward of up to $3,000.
We're here with Sergeant Paul Wright of the Special Operations Unit of the Polk County Sheriff's Office. Paul, you are here at the Special Operations. Tell us some of the stuff that you have here that entails.
Special Operations Division encompasses several units: ag crimes, environmental, marine, and aviation. So the division deals with a multitude of different types of situations, whether it be from a marine situation, an agricultural crimes incident, environmental, going around and patrolling illegal dumpings, different things like that. So along with the aviation unit, which is a support unit.
Yeah, there's a lot of parts to this machine here, aren't there?
Yes, there are. We kind of call ourselves the toy box of the sheriff's office, because we maintain all the equipment, the support equipment, which is going to support the agency in any kind of crisis or incident that we might be faced with.
Yeah, how many people do you have working here in Special Operations?
I have 14 detectives that actually work under our command. That includes 9 ag deputies, 3 environmental deputies, and then 2 marine deputies. And then there's also the aviation unit that supports us as well.
Yeah, and I'm sure that there's a lot of overlapping of duties and things as things happen that you have to reassign personnel, and sometimes it's all hands on deck.
Oh, absolutely. We're designated ag, environmental, marine, but we do it all. Every one of the detectives that we have here work together as a team, and it's actually one big family under one roof.
Now tell us a little bit about yourself. You're originally from Polk County, and tell us how you got into law enforcement.
I am from Polk County, born and raised here in Lakeland. I've been at the Polk County Sheriff's Office for a little over 15 years now. I got into law enforcement, it was a passion. That's what I've always wanted to do since high school. I wanted to be at the Polk County Sheriff's Office, and I eventually reached my goal, and here I am. So this is pretty much everything I've always wanted to do.
Now, obviously, you didn't start out here in Special Operations of the Ag Unit. You started as a road deputy and did your midnight shifts and worked your way up. So I know that's exciting for you.
Right. I did. I started in Northwest Lakeland, and as a patrol deputy. I've been a school resource deputy. I was a canine handler with a bloodhound for several years. And then I was an ag deputy before I was promoted to sergeant, and then worked in a crime suppression unit, which is a street crimes type unit, and then finally another goal that I set for myself was try to come back out as a sergeant to ag crimes, and luckily I've been able to do that. So.
Well, that says an awful lot about perseverance and hard work and getting the job done, so congratulations.
Thank you.
Now, you have a number of, the toys you talked about. Tell us about some of the toys. We're standing in front of the emergency operations truck here now, but tell us some of the things you have.
So, right now we're standing in front of a what we call our mobile command center. We actually have 2 of these. They're 48-foot semi-trailers that were purchased with grant funds. The semis that we use were confiscated drug vehicles. So what we like to say is there's no money out of pocket for Polk County citizens for this equipment. Inside we have computer, internet, cameras, printers, everything, radios, everything that you would need to support a sheriff's office operation. We can do out of this mobile command center. So what we do is we kind of take command out of the main sheriff's office. We put it in here. That way they're on scene. They have a direct line of communication with the deputies on scene. And it makes decisions and processes a lot faster than having to send information back to the main office, then it return back to ground level.
Yeah, because everything is in one location.
Right.
It's a special operation that's going on. And so you have all the stuff that you need right here. Now, we had talked earlier about the classification that you have with the state, because basically you are self-contained when you have to go out.
Right, and along with the mobile command center, we have several other pieces of equipment that we use. We've been deployed to Pensacola, Waveland, Mississippi, Tamarack, just north of Miami, on hurricane deployments. The actual Polk County Sheriff's Office has. And we've been requested by the state of Florida and Mississippi to respond, and it's because we are self-contained. We actually have bunk trailers, cook trailers, shower trailers, boats, ATVs, UTVs, command centers, four-wheel drive trucks, water trailers, pretty much everything you would need to be a self-sustained sheriff's office. We can come into an area, we can set up, and we can maintain that area as a sheriff's office with little to no assistance from anyone.
And that's so important, especially on these hurricanes that have come through the state over the years. When you get there, there is no power, there is no infrastructure that's operating, and so you have to provide everything to be able to operate law enforcement operations there and then.
Correct.
Now, Sarge, there's over 500 lakes in Polk County, so there's a lot of marine activity that you guys are involved in, aren't there?
Yes, yeah. We actually have 2 full-time Marine deputies at the Sheriff's Office, along with the other supporting folks of the Ag and Environmental Unit. Along with that, we have 2 airboats, 2 what we call kicker boats. They're 22-foot Pathfinder T-top type boats, and then 2 pontoon boats, and then a jet ski for kind of undercover operations. With that stuff, we patrol those lakes weekly. We're on the water almost every day, and the types of boats we have allow us to support almost every single lake in the county.
Now, besides all the water that we have here in Polk County, a lot of pasture, a lot of open area that sometimes is only accessible, either by horse or by swamp buggy or ATV, whatever. Tell us a little bit about the mounted unit.
So we do have a mounted unit at the Sheriff's Office. They are a 100% volunteer unit. It's not only deputy sheriffs, but actually citizens within the county can be a part of that unit as long as they complete the courses and the required background checks that we require. They provide their own horse, their own equipment, and then they come and they help support us on different types of search and recovery or search missions, missing children, Alzheimer's patients, different things like that. So a great benefit for the Sheriff's Office.
And it's very popular. A lot of folks really enjoy seeing the horses and really feel I guess, a connection with the horses and how they operate and the services that they can provide.
Absolutely. It's kind of like the canine unit. Everybody wants to pet the dog. Everybody wants to pet the horse.
Well, very good. Well, Sergeant Wright, thank you so much for bringing us out today and showing us some of the stuff. Look forward to seeing more of it here. And we really appreciate your time and your service. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Well, that will do it for this edition of the Heartland Crime Stoppers Show. Remember, if you have any information on any unsolved cases or wanted people or people involved in criminal activity, you can leave an anonymous tip by calling Crime Stoppers at 1-800-226-8477. That's 1-800-226-8477. Remember, it's a crime, and you can help make sure they don't get away with it.